Big news this week. NBA arrests. One was involving player prop fraud. The other involved ex-players with fixed games, poker games. Welcome again to another episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast, where we encourage you to laugh every day, to work hard. Work hard in relationships, work hard in recovery, work hard in your job, your business, school. Just work. And to love unconditionally. Just put much more love out there and watch much more love return. Remember, recovery is beautiful. Your EQ is your IQ, and you cannot outthink an emotional issue. Now, what we encourage people to do is to join the Facebook group, Recovery Freedom Circle. Link is within the show notes. It's a community where we talk about the steps, recovery, healing, goals, accomplishments. Also allow people to ask questions about recovery, the steps, in what other insights they may come up with from the community. Now, let's join into this week's episode. Taking a couple days break from the series of the essence of the steps, because this is big news, because there was big arrests. We're talking about the NBA arrests. First off, we have player prop fraud, which was Terry Rozier, as well as a few other players, where you've got to be kidding me and not think that these will get uncovered. We've had players banned for life in the NBA already for player prop. So what is player prop fraud? It's when someone bets on a player, let's say, if it was Porter who got suspended for life, is how many threes they would make in a specific game. And it's either over or under. So the specific number could be 2.5. Now in Terry Rozier's case, it's other types of fraud, whether it's about points, 3-point shooting. And if a player does not play in a game, the bet is nullified. He has to play at least 1 minute. He's got to be in the box score. But what happens so much with these so-called players thinking that they're going to make a quick, what are they going to make? $10,000, $50,000, maybe even $100,000, and they have $1 million contracts. From a logical standpoint, it makes 0 sense. From a mathematical standpoint, it makes 0 sense. Now, from an emotional standpoint, it might be easy money. It might just be like, oh, this is my vacation money. This is my spending money. And what ends up happening is a player plays, and then he fakes an injury or fakes sickness, checks himself out of a game. I think it was in Porter's case, he played only 2 minutes, and he faked flu. In Rozier's case, it was always some type of, he played about 11 minutes. But eventually there's going to be some type of abnormality within the betting system. And all these casinos have supercomputers, and they're going to notice any types of blips. So what's normal activity, maybe let's say $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 on a specific player on a specific type of bet, and all of a sudden it shoots up tenfold, and all of a sudden there's $100,000 on this actual player prop bet. Yes, all the sports books and casinos are going to investigate that number. Anything that pops up is a red flag, so you will get flagged easily. That's one thing. The other thing that happened was the whole thing with Chauncey Billups and other Hall of Fame players or ex-players playing in these poker games that were associated with the mafia, rigged games in cities, LA, Vegas, New York, Miami. Depends on the city. And tables were all rigged, and these people had these so-called X-ray glasses where they could actually read the cards. And obviously they'd invite some pro players, and some pro players felt like, why are they all losing when they normally wouldn't lose these types of games? And this is also nothing new to law enforcement, because these happened back in 2022, 2023, prop betting up until 2024. So this isn't something that just happened. Like the NBA season just started, and it just happened in the first 2 games. No, we're talking about investigations that have been going on for some time. But that's really not the story. The story really is around money, because there's so much going on that it's becoming a minor situation compared to everything else that's going on with the predictions market. That is actually really the big story, because the gaming companies do not want to cannibalize each other, where DraftKings and FanDuel, Bet365, MGM are all trying to get a piece of the sportsbook action and then lose out to the predictions market. What is a prediction market? A prediction market is an event-based betting. So it is usually a yes, no, up, down, over, under. And that's where actually gambling is becoming. It's becoming this almost like if you're at the roulette table and bet black or red, even though the green, 0 and 00 are still on the field. But a lot of this is moving towards this almost dummy down type of gambling. Yes, no, up, down, over, under. And it's gonna overwhelm the actually sports books. So they are getting in what I call getting in bed with the predictions market. Now, the predictions market has to go through different types of regulatory control, different than sportsbook, which actually have to either go through state or federal bills that actually have to be passed for each state. That's why 38 states allow you to sportsbook. The big ones, obviously, California and Texas, you still cannot legally, and I say that kind of with a little bit of butter, legally bet. Now, people are always finding ways to, even here in Texas, to bet casino types of poker, sports books. But the predictions market goes through regulatory control, so you are going through the exchange houses and going through all their regulations. Now, what are the biggest prediction market models? Kalshi, which is actually the biggest. There's Polymarket, and there's also been Railbirds. And so they go through this type of scrutiny, so then they can allow this type of betting. So how did this all start? It all started with Kalshi, which was actually 2 people that met at MIT. There was a man, an American-born man, but of Lebanese background. His name is Tariq Mansour. And there's a Brazilian woman who was classically trained in classic ballet dancing, and she actually worked 8 years with the Bolshevik theater in Brazil. Name was Luna Lopez Lara. And they met at MIT, and then when they started working in the financial industry, Tariq with Goldman and the Citadel, Luana with Bridgewater and the Citadel. And they realized that so many financial decisions were actually put into some type of prediction model. And they kept thinking, now how can we bring what is being really used to move billions and almost trillions of dollars around the economy. And these financial institutions are making these types of decisions that they believe that the future was that it was also going to hit the individual markets. Now, individuals are now going to be using this for anything, could be as a presidential election, a papal election, something weather related, any type of event. And then also say that into the sports. And so what is now happening is that you see FanDuel partnering with CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. You see the NHL, the National Hockey League, strike the first deal with a prediction-based market with Kalshi, and that you can now place bets through the Kalshi app, which is now available in all states. And then you have DraftKings buying out Railbirds. So they're already, so to me is you've got to always follow the money. Follow the money. Because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you to bet, gamble, forecast, predict, whatever words you want to use, and so that they can get your money. They're not making any of these partnerships so then you have more options. This is all designed into psychology, into what makes it easier for people to get you to make some type of bet, some type of gamble. And in the end, they have it situated where you will lose. Over the long run, 99% of the people lose in gambling. And that is why I suggest you should not gamble, because you're going to end up you're going to lose. Just like me. I may win in sports betting, but I lost 10 times that in the stock market. So in the end, I lost. And I just urge people to really think about their own relationship with money. How does money drive their life? Because we all need money. We all have bills. We all have certain types of lifestyle needs. We all have kids and family that need money. So are we driven by money, or are we trying to get money in some types of ways? Because to me, money is one of the drivers in life. And I'm going to make a different podcast about the drivers of life. But this episode was mainly around the NBA arrests, but also something much bigger. The actual predictions market and how that's playing out in gambling, in life, and kind of where the actual industries are moving, because they don't want to lose out. Understand that. They are partnering or getting bought out because they all want a piece of your money. With that, we are going to conclude this episode of the 1% in Recovery podcast.